Hey, poetry students, it's your instructor, Cody Miller again, here with another review for our week. This would be week 6, moving into week 7. So we're going to chat just briefly, or I'm going to chat briefly about, what we covered this past week, what you really should pay attention to, and then what we need to remember moving into the following week, which would be week 7. So I'll share my screen with you so that you're able to see what I see and I'm able to see what you see here. I'm in student mode on Moodle. So a couple things to remember is that when we look in the announcement, syllabus, semester schedule, attendance, miscellaneous section of Moodle, I had some questions about, how the semester plays out. So there is a tentative, where's that at? That is not here. I need to get it there. It actually is underneath I think it's smaller schedules. I will move that up within that section. Yeah, so in the smaller assignments in the schedules area, you'll notice that we have a full semester schedule at this point that has our readings on it. Now, remember one thing that I mentioned is that our textbook doesn't have all the readings on this schedule yet. So I'm still adding some of those. Of course, this is tentative, so some smaller assignments may pop up if I see that we need them, but this should help you understand how the rest of the course progresses. Journal 3 for us came due this past week on Wednesday at 11:59. We also then will introduce Journal 4 in the next week on Wednesday, and then that'll come due 2 weeks from now. Okay. You should see some free writes in the grade book. Largely, we visited the gallery on Wednesday for Wednesday's class. We had some fun in the gallery with the giant beach ball that was there, but also describing art, which is what ekphrastic poetry is all about. This next unit that we are in, it deals with ekphrastic poetry, narrative poetry, and nature poetry. So just be aware that that schedule is there for you to look at, and it walks you through kind of the different types of poems or genres of poem that we'll work on in the coming weeks. I mentioned last class period that we have the reader response coming due. So you'll see reader response is posted right here. So you can simply click on this and then you can add your discussion in. Remember, follow those directions. You can access those directions right here, or you can access those directions on the page right up here where it says reading response and follow up post directions. So that's right underneath and right above the reader response forums. Okay, perhaps the biggest thing to remember is that our major poem is coming due for us. Our first polished poem is coming due in the next week for us on Monday, and that comes along with a major meta essay. So when we scroll down, you will see that we've got major assignments. There's a section of Moodle for that. And you'll see we've got the assignment, we've got the rubric, what you'll be graded on, we've got the polished poem submission. So you want to make sure that you submit the polished poem according to the directions. You've got the meta essay directions. Here's the rubric for how you'll be graded. And then ultimately you will submit that here. So when we click on that, you'll notice that it comes due at Monday at the beginning of our class period. So make sure that you submit that on Moodle, but you also submit that on, or not on, but in class as a hard copy. So please come to class with both of those as hard copies for me. One question that I've gotten at this point from a couple different students is, what happens if you just didn't really care for your workshop poem? Like, you're not really digging it anymore, you don't really want to work with it anymore. Can you turn in a different poem for your polished poem? And the answer to that, I mean, to be quite honest, is yes, you could. Just know that essentially it's designed to where you have feedback on that workshop poem, and then you make it better so that I can then also grade on revisions and how the poem has improved, and see that taking place from one draft to the next and then described in the meta essay. So if you choose to change your poem up completely, you have to take that into account in the meta essay and make sure that you're describing that to me in there about the choices you made, why you completely changed your poem. So I would encourage you to stick with your workshop poem. That's how the class is designed. But if you choose to change it because you just are not digging that anymore, or you revised it into something, brand new, which is totally acceptable, and then make sure that you're explaining that to me in the meta essay so that I can understand that overall. I think that's basically it for this. I think we're supposed to have some nice weather over the weekend, so please enjoy some sunshine. Let me know if you have any questions. Of course, email me. And then other than that, stay brilliant, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.